So I wanted to share some of my thoughts on bodybuilding and fitness. I myself have been training in all different type of ways for about 20 years, since about 12, 13 years old. A lot of the time I did weight training, traditional. A lot of the time I did unconventional. A lot of the time I trained without access to certain equipment and weights. And a lot of the times I trained at home, as I currently do now. I'm not a member of any gym. I do train on a daily basis almost. And I experiment and I try different things. Basically, what I wanted to say was that it's been my observation that the fitness industry, what's generally accepted as bodybuilding knowledge, is a lot of bullshit. There's so much bullshit out there. To start with, the fact that people adhere to rep ranges and workout schemes that they think are best suited for muscle growth. For example, the 8 to 12 rep range and progressive overload with heavier weights as you go, and people thinking that that being required is wrong. When I say it's wrong, I'm not talking in theory, I'm talking factually. I've observed it, I've done it myself, I've witnessed it in others, and I've seen that there are many, many ways to get to your ultimate destination of having a nice physique. And a nice physique is also relative and interpreted differently by different people. Some people want to be huge and muscular and look like they're juiced up. Other people like to be lean and ripped and only really present when they take their shirt off and look regular when they have their clothes on. So whatever your fitness goals are, the bottom line is that you have to experiment on yourself, with yourself, regarding diet, regarding routine, regarding training methods. I've learned that the notion of having to lift heavy weights in order to grow muscle is one of the biggest misconceptions, and one that I think is the biggest contributing factor to injuries in a lot of people, in myself included. I used to believe that myself when I was younger, and I lifted a lot of heavy weights. I moved very, very heavy weights. I lifted way more than most people could around me that were in my weight class and way heavier. Particularly in the bench press, I was able to, at a body weight of just over 200 pounds, bench 505 for a 2 count. And that was after a whole workout. I did it one time in my life. Somebody was just randomly talking shit and challenged me and convinced me somehow to try it, and I was able to do it. In any case, all that heavy weight basically just caused injuries. I had pec tears, I had shoulder injuries, and I had very severe back injuries, and as a result, I lost a lot of training time, and there was a lot of downtime in recuperating. But basically, as a result of those injuries, I had no choice but to now change my method of training. And mainly I had to lift light. I had to use very, very light weights because I physically was not able to do the heavy weights again. And what I found was that the light weights actually work just as well, if not better, than the heavy weights. And I know that's very controversial. People don't believe that. They think you have to do the heavy weights. Oftentimes it's ego that's involved in why they're doing what they're doing, and not really seeking out effectiveness as a primary goal. So for myself, the fact that I work out at home and by myself, in my basement, allows me to not have to deal with that. Basically I don't care. Nobody's watching me. Nobody's staring at me and checking how much weight I lift. I wouldn't care anyway, in a gym setting or not. But basically, I've been there for so long that I've experimented in so many different things that I've learned that even no weights, without weight, you can have effective workouts. As examples of variables that can be changed are, time under tension, the speed in which you're doing something. As a push-up, as an example, I can do 150 push-ups straight in one clip if I wanted to, and doing them fast. But if I go real slow and I squeeze the muscle as I'm going and I put all the emphasis on the chest, things change and the numbers drop significantly. And that's an example of why the numbers don't matter. You shouldn't worry about the numbers, how much you weigh, how much you lift, or how many reps you're doing. Just focus on the intensity and make sure that each time you're training, you're doing your absolute best and going to failure. I do believe in that also. I don't believe in counting reps. I believe that when people go into the gym with the mindset of 10 reps or 12 reps, they're psychologically allowing themselves to fail There's a subconscious part that comes into play, and they've already had that number embedded in their head, and they will stop at that number where they can actually do many, many more if they just remove that psychological barrier and stop thinking in terms of numbers and just go all at it. Whatever the weight is, whatever you're moving, just do it. Whatever the exercise. So that's one part of it. Another part that I wanted to discuss is the steroids part. Steroids are a huge, huge part of our world today, basically. All aspects of it, not just fitness industry, not just bodybuilding. There's athletes, there are actors, there are everyone. Regular people, there are high school kids, college. Everyone's basically using steroids for the most part. I don't mean everyone, of course, but a lot of people are. And it's an unfortunate thing that there's not more honest information about them. The truth about steroids, I have used them in the past. I've always used them very mildly. I never wanted to take a lot. I took way less than what was prescribed and common knowledge dictated. And as a result, the transition was never huge. But I did see the effectiveness of them, and I know with certainty that steroids absolutely work. They work wonderfully. But in my own experimenting, I noticed also that it's a temporary thing. There's nothing that you retain when you're off cycle. So the thought that you can go on a cycle and gain 20 pounds and keep 10 of it is bullshit. It's not true. You can keep 10 of it if you continue using cycles after, taking time off and then go back on. Yeah, you can continue in that way and progressively increase your body weight. But I don't believe that anyone has the ability to take a cycle of steroids and retain their gains beyond the first couple months being off. So yes, they are very effective, but there are side effects also. So steroids do work. They are effective. They do what they're supposed to do. But the results are absolutely temporary. They'll not stay with you if you stay off long enough. And in addition, there are a lot of side effects that do come. With me in particular, I found that people who are prone to having short fuses and bad tempers tend to have that very much exaggerated when introducing synthetic testosterone. And so that happened to me. Basically, I was like fucking raging all the time and ready to just kill people for nothing. And so that was one of the reasons why I stopped using it as well, in addition to the fact that I knew that I had to continually take them in order to keep progressing on them. So it wasn't something that I really could make sense of for myself. I'm not getting paid to present my physique. I'm not a movie star. I'm not anything like that. So I can understand justifying it in that sense if you're a professional, if you're a pro athlete, if your livelihood depended on your physical capabilities and appearance, then it makes a lot of sense. And I think I would probably jump on board again if that were the case for me too. But with that being said, that brings me to another point, is supplements and the supplement industry. I don't take supplements myself. I do take, on occasion, some protein shakes, protein powders and stuff just to supplement meals. But I think that the majority of the whole supplement industry is bullshit. It's garbage. I mean, people are spending so much money on a regular basis, convinced that they need to take all these different things in order to make gains. When my own experience has told me otherwise. I've seen and I've made gains myself with nothing, with very, very limited resources, even food. And it really, really comes down to the workout and the effort that you put in. If you work out hard and train hard without altering your diet at all from whatever it is today, you will see gains and you will improve. So your body has an unbelievable ability to respond to a workload. And so the more you expose it to something, the more it will then respond and adapt in order to make that task that much more easy for your body to handle. So I don't believe that the supplements really do anything. I don't want to say that they have zero results. I'm sure that if you take 20 pills a day, you'll see some results, some benefit from it. But for the most part, it's a waste and it's not necessary. Don't throw your money away. Just work out hard is basically it. So my last point in this video is to just touch on the subject of genetics. Genetics is something that I feel is absolutely plays a huge part in the results that you'll get and how your physique will ultimately end up looking. I've observed and I've worked out with so many different people over the years in so many different situations. And the truth is, there are some people that I worked out with, there are probably a handful over the 20 years of people that I've encountered that just had this unbelievable ability genetically and physically to respond to weight training, even to calisthenics, forget about weight training, just to actual training, any type of physical activity. There were some people who I worked out, that I lived with actually, that I worked out with, who I had the same exact routine with as far as day to day. We ate the same, we ate together, so that they had nothing more than I did available to them. No resources, no supplements, no steroids, nothing. We worked out together. And basically, these people just blew me away in the progress that they made. Some people, literally just respond unbelievably. The muscles are huge and shapely and hard and dense. Some people have the ability to stay ripped without dieting. Cardio is unheard of for a lot of people. They just naturally have that ability. So people do need to realize that there do exist people out there who are just blessed in that way, and that's part of life. Some people are smarter than others, some people run faster than others, some people can jump higher, some are taller, whatever. It's just another variable in life, and there's no reason to not acknowledge that and admit that that is in fact the case. And a lot of the things I see on the internet now about people accusing others of using steroids and using calculations to determine that someone is or isn't using, basically saying that certain people cannot have achieved what they have naturally without the use of steroids, and that it's impossible. That word impossible in my mind doesn't exist. It's a stupid term. It especially doesn't apply when it comes to physical capabilities. Again, a lot of people say that the things that I've done in the past were impossible. Many things, not just related to fitness. Many things I've done, people say were impossible. And I don't buy into that bullshit. Again, some of these guys that I mentioned, though there were very few of them, some of these guys could have competed at a professional level and done very, very well. And these are guys I know that were natural, and they were just unbelievable. And if you were to introduce steroids into their bodies, I believe they could have been at Olympia caliber. I've seen these guys before. A lot of these guys are in state prisons and they're never coming home. Some of these guys have been in there for 20, 30 years. Some of them much longer even. So the point I'm making is that, to say someone is taking steroids with certainty, without you knowing, only based on their visual or their physical capability, is really, really stupid and really ignorant. You shouldn't do that. And basically what that says about those that are making those accusations is that they are so limited and small in their own mindset that they just can't accept that somebody's much more capable than they are. They can't accept it. So psychologically, it's just too much for them to accept and admit. So they have no choice but to take the position that it's impossible and these people are all liars. A lot of them are. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the people in fitness, they have liability reasons for not disclosing the truth about their steroid use. And that makes a lot of sense. From a business perspective, of course, there are things that one would not want to reveal if it would jeopardize their future and income. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. But with that being said, there are a lot of guys that I believe who are accused by the majority, of being on steroids who possibly are not. And again, so you just may never have encountered what I encountered, but I've seen it with my own eyes. I've observed it. I've lived it day to day. And I've watched how people respond. And some people just have a better genetic gift than others. And that's the reality of that. So I'll conclude this video with that, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.